I just think there was some shady deals going on sitting right there.
So some people were saying that they couldn't hear the last video, and it's basically just a bad recording because it's from far away and there's other stuff going on. And so I picked the most relevant section, like regarding the Delphi case, and I will tell you what they're saying as they're saying it. Um, and then if you want to listen to like the rest of it, then there's other uploads. And there's some other like relevant information, but it's not like directly about the Delphi case. So I hope this helps out. The commissioner says, Sheriff, while they're signing these, I have something I want to ask you about. The sheriff says, okay. The commissioner says, I want to preface this by saying I'm not meaning to be critical. After I see some similarities here. After being in the restaurant business for over 35 years, we've run the one in Lafayette for at least 15 years. My wife and I hired a company out of California to come in and do a private audit to look at everything. Because while I thought I knew what I was doing, I wasn't sure, and I wanted to make sure that there was another set of eyes looking at everything and maybe giving me a different perspective of where I've gone wrong or what I've overlooked, or it encompassed everything. It encompassed everything from the walk-in something to their taxes. I'm wanting to ask you, are we at a point where we need to hire an outside eye to come in and look over this whole investigation to see if there's something maybe we've overlooked? And by we've, I mean we haven't looked at anything, of course. What I know about the law, I've seen on TV, and I see these cold cases where they come in and this new person looks at it and they find some little shred here that nobody's looked at. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but I'm asking you if that's something we as commissioners should pursue or authorize money for, or everybody's wanting to see this done, right? And then the sheriff responds that he is not offended, and we'll add to that actually early on. And when he says early on, he's talking about within a year or maybe even months, as he recalls. Without providing specifics, he will say that they did have outside agencies come on board. And when he says outside agencies, he's talking about professional, public funded organizations from other states. State investigators come on board and take an outside in looking approach. And so we've done that already. And to answer the question, is it time to potentially do that again? That's 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 a good point. Yes, I would personally entertain that idea, but I think that's a discussion we need to have amongst ourselves within our core investigators rather than, and again, no offense, at this point, I'm going to decline your suggestion of at least the funding aspect of it because I want to hear what the core investigators feel and have that meeting with them. And then if we see potentially, again, bringing outside resources into us, we may need that funding. And then I'll be the first one back up here again saying, yes, gentlemen, we are going to move forward. And yes, respectfully, we would ask for funding because of that. And the commissioner says, okay. And the sheriff says, but that's in essence, that's nothing new. Again, with at least two other outside agencies that I recall who brought them on board and said, hey, take a look at this thing. And they've done that. And as I recall, the feedback, or at least during that time period, was that you're on your own course, you're on the right path. But, is it that time to answer your question? Is it that time again? I would agree that that's a reasonable suggestion. And then the commissioner says, well, I want you to know I'm on board with that, and I think my fellow commissioners would want to do everything we can to move this along. And this is a little aside. When this idea first came up to my managers that I had down in West Lafayette, none of them liked it because they all knew everything already. So we had to kind of overrule it. And the sheriff says, I've always been the type, Bill, that even at this stage of my career, I'm still open to new ideas and new thoughts. And I'm not set in my ways, if you will. And so that's why I say, but again, if you could afford me the opportunity at least to have that meeting with our core investigators and say, hey, how can we potentially regroup here? What do we need to do moving forward to, again, maybe provide this fresh set of eyes? I'm open to that. And then the commissioner says, we want to help. And the sheriff says, thank you. I appreciate that.
Girls go hiking in the woods and are found murdered.
Investigators calling the crime scene a complicated one.
Was it obvious that foul play was involved?
Do you have his DNA?
You spend time trying to figure out who that was.
Do you think mistakes were made?
Authorities have the voice, grainy video from Libby's phone.
That she needed to do something.
I know that voice. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that?
Yeah, who is that? That was a look at HLN's Down the Hill television series about the murders of teenagers Abigail and Liberty near an abandoned bridge in Delphi, Indiana. Joining us.
I know that voice. Who is that? Who is that? Who is that?
Yeah, who is that?
I just think there were some shady deals going on sitting right there.